Televised. Now it's sound up here and recorded by the local cable company. We'll open the meeting with a moment of silence. Like a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept correspondence in the read file.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Public forum, now's the time for anybody to speak on an item that's not on the agenda. Anybody from the public here? Approval of meeting minutes, open session January 5th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Open session on January 19th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed, abstaining. Lisa's abstaining. We'll do a little bit of new business before we get to the public hearing. We need to call for a hearing with respect to Jackie's Cafe Incorporated doing business as The Office, serving alcohol to an underage patron, that's the same thing, patron. So we need to vote for a hearing and invite the people in to speak to us about that.
So you need a motion for that? Second? I'll move that.
Second.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See him.
Okay, so we'll look forward to seeing the office people later on. Act on the resignation of Sean Kelly from the position of Auxiliary Special Police Officer effective January 30th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Act on the request of Town Clerk Don Varley to sign the warrant for the March 1st, 2016 presidential primary election.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Act on the request of Bob Corbett on behalf of Whitman Baseball and Softball Association to conduct its opening day parade on Saturday, April 16th, 2016, with a rain date of April 23rd, 2016, beginning at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Act on the request of Mary Quinton on behalf of the Southeastern Philharmonic Orchestra for permission to use the Town Hall Auditorium to conduct a free concert on Sunday, April 24th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And finally, before we go to the public hearing, we need a vote to authorize the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District to sign a statement of interest to the MSBA for repairs to the Duval School roof. And Lisa, call on you to make that motion.
Resolved, having convened in an open meeting on February 9, 2016, prior to the closing date, the Town of Whitman Board of Selectmen, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest form dated February 12, 2016, for the Duval Elementary School located at 60 Regal Street, Whitman, Mass., which describes and explains the following deficiencies and the priority categories for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future for an accelerated repair program roof project under priority number 5. The existing wall, windows, roof components have failed. The interior classroom space has numerous leaks during a rain event. The exterior insulated finish system, EIFS, has failed at the roof locations and has contributed to the moisture intrusion, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the Town of Whitman to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's reached 7:05. So it's time for a public hearing to discuss and vote on submission of regional grant application with the town of Abington to the Mass Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD, for funding from its fiscal year 2016 Community Development Fund, CDF. Program in order to continue the existing regional housing rehabilitation program and support for the St. Vincent de Paul food pantries in both towns.
So moved.
Second.
What we need a motion to submit the application, which was just moved and seconded. And then later on, we'll need a motion to authorize the chairman of the board to sign the joint application authorization form to be submitted. Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now I need a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the joint application authorization form to be submitted with the application.
So moved.
Second.
Chairman, there is somebody from Opportunities Group here who has done the application, so if you have any questions.
Well, it would have been good to know that. Thank you greatly.
I know you went very quickly into the thing, so I apologize, but
Okay.
she is here, she could answer any questions. comments.
Great, I was wondering. Introduce yourself, please. Okay.
Hi, I'm Paula Stewart with Community Opportunities Group. We're the grant consultant to Abington and by extension to Whitman. For the last two grants, in 2012, we did this grant the first time and renewed it in 2014. It's now time, we've expended those funds. It's now time to apply for additional funding. The application is for $800,000, which is the maximum grant available for this type of program in communities in this size, with two communities participating together. The application deadline is Friday, so we are finishing up putting things together. The program that we've been running has been very successful. We completed 18, well, we haven't completed, we have 18 units completed or in process for the housing rehab program, which helps low and moderate income property owners in the two towns to make repairs to their homes. In Whitman in particular, we've had a number of emergency cases which we expedite for failing roofs and heating systems, and we've done some water and sewer hookups and that sort of thing. Equally to the two towns, so there have been 9 cases in each of the two towns. We're applying for enough funds to do 20 housing units in the next grant. We also support the food pantries, the St. Vincent de Paul food pantries in the two communities. This year we did $36,000 for each community. We're reducing that a little bit, or proposing to reduce that a little bit next year to $30,000 for each of the pantries. Essentially, that's a logistical thing, because while the grant technically runs for 18 months, it takes about 3 months to go through all the paperwork to get the grant set up, to get the contracts in place, and that sort of thing. So we really only have a 15-month spend-out period, so we're just reflecting it to reflect the reality of that. That additional money will then go to do some additional housing units. Rather than me blather, does anybody have any questions?
It didn't sound like blathering to me.
I have
Yeah.
one question. Now, this is if someone needs repairs on their home, they would go. All right, can you explain to the people out there watching, if somebody does need repairs, where do they go and how do they achieve, the process?
The program is being run out of the Community Development Office at the Abington Senior Center. They've given us office space there. The office is open Tuesdays and Thursdays each week from 9:30 to 4:30. They can call us at 781-982-2145, or and we can put an application in the mail, we can email an application to them. There actually is a much shorter list in Whitman right now. We cleared a bunch of cases the end of last year. So applications that are submitted now will get processed more quickly. The waiting list in Abington is longer. So I would encourage people to submit applications. There's a target area in Whitman, which is around the central, I think you have maps in your packets that they've prepared. That was designated by the town in 2012 and renewed in 2014. It is focused on the lower income census tracts and those with the older housing stock, basically the places that we believe there would be more need. To do a regular rehab case, you need to be within the target area and be income eligible. Emergency cases can be done anywhere in town. So if your heating system fails, we don't care if you're in the target area, we just fix it. And emergency cases are pushed to the top of the list. So someone would file an application. Again, if it's an emergency, we go out and inspect immediately to see if it actually qualifies as an emergency, because we're bumping you ahead of everybody else if in that case. So we try to be fair to everybody. And then the process basically is that we have a housing rehab specialist who's got 30 years of construction experience and a master's degree in construction. He goes out, does an inspection with the homeowner. The homeowner will tell them the things that they want done on the house. The rehab specialist will also inform them of anything that's an actual code violation, because we have to deal with those first. And we'll write up the work specs. We have contractors that are under contract that are registered with the program. We've checked all their licenses, insurance, checked their references. They have all of the requirements. We do outreach at the beginning of each program to try and bring in additional contractors. So once the work specs are ready, the homeowner approves those, and we do a bid showing, and any interested contractors from our list go out. So they're all seeing the same thing at the same time. They do a walkthrough of the property and the work to be done. And then they have a week or 10 days to submit sealed bids. We award the contract to the lowest bidder unless the homeowner wants to choose someone else. They have the right to do that. They would have to pay the difference in the cost. Low-income homeowners, defined as earning 50% or less of median area income, we will pay the program pays 100% of the cost of the project, up to $35,000 a unit. Moderate income homeowners, which is the 51 to 80% of area income, we can pay up to 75% of the project cost. The owner is expected to contribute 25% of the cost, but there's a waiver provision if they're unable to do that. They can request a waiver.
I know there are some seniors that, because of the times, have had to let their property go in their houses. And I know a couple around town that I've seen. And I assume that when they file for this, that it's very discreet. And that, when they go in to look at their homes, the homeowner's not embarrassed or feels uneasy, because that's a big problem.
No, we're very sensitive to that. This is, the way I generally explain it to people is, look, you've worked all your life, all your taxes were helping people all those times. Now it's your turn to need a little help and be able to get some assistance with this so that your house is safe. Accessibility improvements, as you were mentioning, elders, are considered an emergency. So a senior citizen who's in their home, who's becoming more disabled and wants to stay in their home, we can go in and make accessibility modifications on an emergency basis to make it safe for them to stay there.
Thank you. And how is it working out with the St. Vincent de Paul food pantries in both towns? How's the support working out there?
It's been great. Whitman in particular has been really moving. The Whitman Food Pantry is reporting back to us. We go out and monitor every quarter. Mm-hmm. We look through and see what they're doing. They submit invoices to us and we reimburse them. Mm-hmm. But what they're reporting is that they've been able to increase the number of visits that an individual family can make to the pantry. and that they're able to buy more. The funding that's being provided by this grant allows them to buy more proteins, more foods. You know, the can drives bring in canned goods, and they get a lot of food from the food bank and that sort of thing. But this allows them to buy more proteins and higher quality foods and make the money go further.
Okay, great.
They are getting an increase in demand, so.
Okay.
You know, Kyle, one thing I'd like to ask, if we could, the information that she's brought forward as far as the contact, you know, the telephone numbers, where you contact, should be on our town website, whether it's under the senior center, wherever you want to put it, so that if anybody's curious, they go on our website, find the correct number to call.
You can
and,
put it on the
deal
Board of
with it.
Selectmen's website with the application information that's there,
Beautiful.
as well as we have a PDF that we've put
Yeah.
up there, but sometimes it comes down through the cycle of the website.
Okay.
So we can put that back up and make sure that it's
you.
visible.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, terrific.
Thank you.
May I just request,
Yes,
because I have to drive back to Boston, that I
signed.
get the form signed
Sure.
before I leave?
yeah, I have some forms here.
Okay, then
Is this the same
I
thing?
brought some just in case.
This the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
The joint application authorization form is.
Right.
That's it.
Joint application authorization, and you
Yep.
just need my signature on it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you need
There
three
are
copies.
2 pieces of paper we have to physically bring into the state. This
Okay.
is one of them.
And you need 3 copies.
Excuse me, yes.
You'll have them almost immediately.
Perfect. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
is there a, we have the motion on the floor to submit the application. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there a second? Okay, is there a motion to authorize me to sign these 3 papers I'm about to sign?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
John Hancock.
Yeah. I'm going to sign Washington Irving on each one of them.
Okay.
You know what that's a reference to? Catch 22.
Oh,
Thank you. I apologize for asking you to.
Oh, that's no problem at all.
But
I mean, you don't want to stay and hang out?
I live in Worcester. I have, like, it's going to be a long drive back.
be careful.
Where do you live?
Stop.
Oh, wow.
Worcester,
Okay.
wow.
Worcester?
Worcester.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We didn't pick a date, we
Thank
just
you.
approved it here.
Okay. Date for the hearing for,
The office.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't necessarily pick a
I
date.
Sure.
think we picked a date.
Okay.
We just approved to have a hearing.
This from Scott?
No, it's for me.
That's okay.
I didn't
Nice
say
use
yes.
of, nice use of paper here.
Thank you.
Okay,
would've said
Greg has reminded me through Lisa and this little note that we could use a date for that hearing that we agreed to schedule with the office. And suggesting February 23rd, which is our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so could someone just make that, we'll amend the,
I'll make that motion that on February 23rd, we will have that.
okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Where are we? Surplus property, 1969 cat tractor.
It's currently being used as a pile of dirt in the DPW facility.
It's being used as a pile of dirt?
Basically a place where they just pile dirt on top of. It's,
Of it?
yeah, it's and around it and in it.
Okay.
It doesn't work at all, so we're just gonna be looking to
Scrap it?
scrap it basically, but we actually have it advertised already just to get it out there.
Hmm.
I would have pulled it if it was a vote, but we're trying to get that as well as the 2 vehicles that didn't sell last time, so.
Okay. There are motions.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Last item under new business is the monthly reports of the police and the fire. And I'm happy to see in your packets that we have copies of their reports. And thank you, Chief, for doing that. And thank you also for making the print so big. This is like huge for someone like me.
Yeah, believe me, I'm there.
And next time you see your buddy, the fire chief, you can tell him to follow your lead and make the print big.
How about Braille?
Okay.
Okay, Chief, what do you want to say about your report?
Okay, so you've had time to look over the report, which I guess this will help if you have any questions. We'll get to the end. I'll just go over it briefly. Log items are up, as I indicated, 188 as opposed to this time last year. Arrests from January 1 of 16 to February 2nd of 16, 9 arrests, 14 criminal complaint applications. We have had one drug overdose reported from January 1 to February 2nd, which I believe I sent you the information on the drug overdose from the Web Major Crimes Task Force. If you look at that, there's been a significant decrease compared to this time last year, January of 2015. In East Bridgewater, Bridgewater, Whitman, and West Bridgewater, for the month of January last year, there were 16 total overdoses and 2 fatals. This year, for the 4 communities in the month of January, there were 8 total overdoses, which is cut in half, and 1 fatal. That was cut in half as well, which is nice to see that we are making, like I said, I'm not waving we won flag, but we're definitely, there's some recognition there that there's an issue and it's being addressed and it's being hit head on. And I'll get into, the next thing actually that ties to that is I went to the high school, to the John McEwen Performing Arts Center and saw the Drug Story theater presentation put on there. It was quite interesting. They did a great job. The interesting thing about that is it's put on by recovered addicts. That is part of their therapy. So it's very impactful. One of the performers was a mother who had lost her daughter. So it was quite moving, and I had a chance to talk to the doctor as well. And then actually from there, there was a question and answer session, and it touched on how coming up on our elections in, November, you'll see a question for legalizing marijuana. I'm pretty sure the rep talked about that. And out of all of the people on the panel that were recovered addicts, let's say 10, 8 started with marijuana. So my thing was, so alcohol and tobacco are legal, and we know we can't even control the fallout from that. Now we're going to bring in this other thing, and and even the doctor said he says, I don't want to make it political, but yeah, it's an issue. Does that mean that everybody who smokes marijuana will do heroin? No, but I can guarantee you, anybody that's doing heroin has tried one of those other things. They just didn't start with heroin. So it was interesting, but they put on a really good performance, and all students saw it. And actually, at the evening performance, the parents that went, there was quite a few middle school students there, which was really nice to see that they're recognizing that. And part of the governor's legislation is, one of the new things is, like, if you go in and you, as a child, you have surgery, like say you blow out your knee in football, they only give you a 7-day supply, not a 30-day supply. They've cut it. They've recognized. So
Yeah, the governor wanted a 3-day supply, but the doctors pushed back and they
Pushed
went down to
back
7.
and did
That's
7.
Better than 30.
yeah, it is. It's nice to see that the doctors have stepped up in that. I think they deserve credit for that. I think that they're, recognizing, hey, instead of just throwing the thing out there for 30, you know what? Yeah, this is an issue. So. Whitman, Hanson, will be hosting a town hall meeting up at the John F. McEwen Performing Arts Center on March 15th from 6:30 to 8:30. Taylor's story, and I enclosed some information on that, about that involved alcohol binge drinking. She died. They found her in the woods 2 days later. And the mother has made it her mission to go around and speak to, parents and students to alert them to this, problem. What we do is, anytime there's a drinking party that we encounter, everybody's offered a breath test, all names are taken, parents are contacted. I'm not of the mind to do a zero tolerance where you lock everybody up. I don't think that's right. I think parents deserve a chance to address it instead of going to court and paying $40 or whatever. But what it does is it makes everybody accountable. We do that for the consistency. What we found was happening was it wasn't consistent. And I can only speak for Whitman. So you had people going to parties, and depending on who went, if it was like, well, everybody take off. And then, Johnny Jones, who for the first time is an honor student and went drinking, got caught. But there's a guy that goes to 7 parties, and he's just gotten the right guy there who just says, hey, everybody take off. So, there's a consequence if you're a class officer or you play a sport and things like that. They do suffer a penalty. And it's important, it's fair for everybody, and that's all I've ever, my thing is, all you can ever do is ask to be treated fairly. If you're treated fairly, then it's fair for everybody, so, and that's how we approach that. We will though, however, there is a zero tolerance on a social host. If a parent hosts the party or allows the party, sets it up to be hosted, we do charge them, because they're accountable. So, and fortunately, we haven't had any. I mean, I think Whitman handles itself very well in that regard. The parents and stuff stepping up. So, East Bridgewater Hope, their coalition also has had some great success with the reverse 911 calls and having people be able to drop in and get help. Addicts are able to just go turn themselves in, and they actually have a whole setup there with a clinician. They have clergy there if they need them, people they can talk to. And so, this problem is being hit on all ends that can be hit. I think all of the players are coming together, and the coalitions are all talking. Like, it's not like where sometimes you'll have a problem, and we run into this in law enforcement. The FBI won't talk to the local guys, and the state. Well, everybody's talking, which really shows what can be done when everybody works together and addresses a situation like that. The mock crash up at the high school for the prom awareness will be March 15th. Board of Selectmen, town administrator and assistant town administrator are invited to that. It'll be, it's in the morning up at the high school. It's quite, if you've never seen it before, it's quite an event. They do a crash, they have somebody get zipped up in a body bag. They have a parent show up who's hysteric. It's pretty impactful. A lot of feedback from the kids is positive as to, I remember one in particular, it's funny, years ago, probably one of the best ones was Shayna Ross. I don't know if any of you know Shayna and her mother, and wow. I mean, I really thought they were gonna have to medicate the mother. I mean, it was impactful. So they do it every 2 years, and this year, so we'll skip a year, but if you're interested, more than welcome to come up. It is quite a thing. They have the Jaws out there, the fire come. I mean, it's, it's the most realistic thing you're gonna get, and hopefully we never have to have the real thing, so.
What was the date of that again, Chief?
It is,
March 15th.
March
It's
15th.
the same
at
day
the high
as
school.
it's in the daytime.
Yeah.
What
And
time
it's-
is that?
It's in the morning. It'll be in the morning, and I'll send you the exact time. It coincides with Whitman Hanson Will hosting the evening events. That's part of it. Part of the whole program, just to heighten all the awareness that we can. Currently, the department, so we'll move to the next topic. Currently, the department, we have one officer on IOD status, who's been there for about 2.5 years. And we have another officer who's out sick. He's on sick leave for knee replacement surgery. Utility scams, we had sent some stuff out, PSA through Facebook. That involved somebody posing as National Grid, shutting off electricity and stuff. Got a lot of positive. I'm always amazed at the number of people that That reaches, I think it was like 60,000 people, which is just crazy, but it's good, it gets out there and it gets to the people. Sergeant Keneally and Sergeant Gregory will be attending the LEAD seminar, which is the Law Enforcement Executive Development Seminar in March, put out by the FBI and the U.S. Department of Justice. And what that will do is that will give all of our command staff, lieutenants and sergeants will then have all attended this 1 week training. So that obviously is a good thing, for liability and everything. It gives them that extra footing. It's really good training. It's a 1 week, a lot of networking. In addition to our continued presence at all of the schools throughout our shifts, we're monitoring the crosswalk up at Franklin Street. We got a report that the high school students were having trouble navigating the crosswalk there. People didn't want to slow down or stop for them, so we've been up there. We also continue to assist the commuters, and I have to say, I get positive feedback on this every week, that the officers are up there at the trains during the peak commuter hours, letting the people out up there with the blue lights and stuff like that. That's been really good feedback for us. We continue our walking beat. There's a walking beat in the center of town on Saturdays from 9 to 3 o'clock, 9 to 12, and then 12 to 3.
That's good.
And the officers were recently trained in tourniquets, the application of tourniquets, which obviously came to light when I believe it was Officer Stokinger, the Boston police officer who was shot. Firefighter Bush has been, came over. I spoke to the fire chief. Fire Chief Grenell had reached out to me and Firefighter Bush, and we were able to get a price. They helped me. We got a good price on those, and every officer has them. Auxiliaries and full-time officers, they carry them with them. And then Firefighter Bush came over and, showed them all how you apply it. It's, the response obviously would be quick, but if God forbid, and you just don't know, you're chasing a suspect in the woods, something else happens, and all of a sudden you need that, you'll have it. And I think that, the more equipped we can make our officers, the safer they'll be. And in closing, I'd just like to thank the men and women of the police department, as well as the men and women of the auxiliary police department, for their dedication and commitment to public safety and the citizens of Whitman.
Thanks, Chief. Does anyone have any questions? It helps me a lot to be able to read it, Chief, just so you know.
Yep.
Even though it's easy for me to listen when I'm reading something at the same time. I'm a visual guy, I guess. Yep. I had an opportunity to see that play that you talked about, too. Its first edition, the first time it was acted, it was down in Plymouth. They put it on it as a test at Plymouth, one of the middle schools in Plymouth. And it was a pretty powerful thing. And they've done it in Marshfield now, and they've done it now in Whitman. And I think they've scheduled some others, and they're going to actually start working with a new troupe, a new group of people. It is important in their recovery to have this as it is a kind of a therapy, where these people are actually getting trained by people from speech departments at colleges to act and act out what they've been going through. And it's
been good.
If anybody,
Yeah.
if you get a chance, if you see it advertised anywhere, drugstore, take the opportunity to look at it and see it. I'm glad you're able to go.
Yep.
I actually ran into Dr. Schrand, who's in charge of he's the medical and psychological guy at the castle over in Brockton. And his wife is heavily involved in the producing of this play, and I ran into both of them. And she felt great about their appearance at Whitman Hanson. She was really, really thankful and impressed. So thanks for what you've been doing.
Thank you.
Okay, Deputy Chief.
Fire department synopsis?
Yes, we have a report here.
Can you read it? You said it was in
The
small
print is
print.
really small, but yeah, we can read it.
Okay. I have it on my iPhone, so it's equally small.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, thanks. Well, you're probably aware, February 4th, we did switch over to the regional dispatch completely with Holbrook. And right out of the gate, we got hit with the snowstorm, so it put it to a real test. I'd say it went pretty well, and you're getting more people out on the street, like the whole, one of the reasons to do it was. So that was absolute. We did get more guys out on the street. I don't think there was any real issue. We did, because we don't have a guy on our dispatch now, we did kind of lose track of what we had available at certain times during incidents. But so the next storm, which was yesterday, we opened up the EOC to have somebody do that resource tracking, and it was smooth as silk, although the storm kind of cooperated too, so.
Yeah, because you had a storm, you were able to track it.
Right.
Is that gonna be an issue going forward?
Well, I don't think so.
If it's not a storm?
No, definitely not. But during the storm Friday, we had quite a bit of apparatus out on the road.
Right.
And some of the calls got kind of stockpiled, like, stacked up. And we had to, wait for something to free up from another call to answer the next. Most of them were wires down, trees on wires.
Right.
A couple of EMS calls mixed in, but, 90% of it that day was trees on wires and wires down.
Okay, well, with the
It was a
the
good.
regional dispatch is really put to a test with that kind of a event.
Right, and it's not just going on here, they have a few other
Right.
towns they're dealing
Right.
with, so they're keeping a lot of things going, and I think they're more used to it than us right now, because they've been doing it, so
Right.
they know what's going on. So I think it's pretty successful right out of the gate, and
Okay, you had any negative feedback from the
the rank and file.
firefighters? Yes.
Not really, because when you get out there and you have extra help, many hands make light work, and
Okay, good.
human nature, it
Good.
makes the job better.
It's great to hear.
Right. And then the January issues, a lot of EMS runs. One guy was injured, he was out about a week, and he's back. Still have a man out on light duty, he should be coming back shortly. There's some stats there with the ambulance. Busiest time, 6 in the morning to 7 p.m. And majority of calls on the south side of town. Not really sure why.
Yeah.
That could just be the luck of the draw. I'm sure there's other times it's another part of town. And both ambulances were getting a pretty steady workout. They both did about 75 runs each, so. Yeah, I think that for January in New England, it was a pretty, not very eventful month, so. This will probably be the month.
And I do believe we're supposed to be getting the new fire truck in March.
Yeah, I think it's
That
gonna
should be
come
delivered
over,
in
it's gonna
March.
come from the plant to the local dealer, and then there'll be some add-ons and some equipment put on. So that'll be next month's report.
Yeah.
It says here that the busiest times for EMS is between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1 p.m., followed by 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. So what's going on between 1 and 5 that reduces the number of EMS calls?
I'm not sure, I think,
Naps?
I don't know what people are doing.
Yeah.
They're either going to or from work or school. Yeah, I'm not really sure why we get that stat, but it must have been pretty constant for the month of January. Yeah, we get that new tactical emergency casualty course. I believe that's connected to the tourniquets. We have quite a few of them in the station right now, and on Matt Bush's desk. And yeah, and it just said how Matt worked with the police department. I think Scott emphasized that. So,
Good.
That's it.
Thanks a lot, Deputy Chief.
Okay.
Is,
Thanks, Greg.
anyone have any questions?
No, that's gonna be fun.
Okay, thank you. And, you know, don't make a big deal about the print being small with the fire chief. He might be sensitive about those things, just, because it was really nice to get his report.
Get your magnifying glass.
That's just old age.
I can do this. See?
Okay, that exhausts new business. Under old business, we have the continued hearing with respect to the Class 2 auto dealer's license issued to Diesel Trucks, Dave Federico, on the premises located at 575 Bedford Street. Now it's time for that. Hi, Bob. Remember the last time we gave Mr. Federico a couple of weeks?
3 weeks.
Clean things up?
Just so you know, I met with Mr. Federico out at the site, and I had recommended some changes to be done, but he's trying to keep the license, the amount of vehicles up around 50 or a little bit over that. I did go out on Friday and again today. You should have a letter from me that was prepared, and that's pretty much what I saw. It revealed there was 50 vehicles, the handicap unloading area is blocked, and there's not sufficient maneuvering area to allow for customer parking. The vehicles at the rear of the property are kind of 3 or 4 deep, and they seem to be backed up into the woods and all that. The issue here is that I think I have to change my opinion a little bit, is that this gentleman is selling trucks. Diesel Trucks is the name of the business. I keep going there thinking I'm going to see cars for sale, whatever. He's got a lot of older vehicles with diesel motors in them, and I think he does a lot of marketing on the internet. However, I still feel as though it's overcrowded. I pulled in there today. It wasn't plowed when I went out there. He called me this afternoon and said that he had a Bobcat there and he was clearing the sidewalk and clearing some more space, and he moved the vehicle out of the handicap unloading area. But no matter how I look at it, my feeling is that it ought to be reduced. And my recommendation at this point, after discussing it with Mr. Federico, is to allow 40 vehicles. There's a lot of vehicles I asked him to get rid of, things that weren't really available for sale, things with broken windshields or broken windows, or there's a Jeep there without a door. I think that what probably should happen is you should give him a little bit of time to get rid of another 10 vehicles and then restrict it to 40 until he wants to readdress it, maybe to this Board of Selectmen.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
40 with the new plan, right? He has to devise a new plan.
And I will work with him to develop the best layout for 40 vehicles. I think that's going to be a little bit easier. Again, keep in mind that, and Dan, you've seen it, and it is a mess. You really can't get around other vehicles. My feeling is that he may be selling a lot of vehicles that he makes appointments with people to come in there and look at one specific vehicle, and then he leaves. It's not what I'm used to, so I think it's just a little bit different. So I think if you give him a little bit of leeway and not reduce it to 35 and go to 40, and give him a little bit of time to get rid of the vehicle so he can make some money instead of having to junk them, I think that's probably the best plan.
Okay, so your recommendation is to continue the license, but with a reduction, with a new plan, a new site plan, and a reduction to 40 vehicles.
Yes, and I think we should give him
Time limit on
a
that?
little bit of time to get it down to 40. Maybe go to the beginning of March. As of March 1st, it will be 40 vehicles. I'm not sure if you can do that.
Sure.
I think you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, pretty much. No, that would, board, anybody from the board want to talk about this?
Yes, I would. It's been what, 5 weeks now, since the very, very first hearing?
Yes.
I've seen a little bit of improvement, but then you make improvement, then you go back to your old ways. You make some improvements, you go back to your old ways. It was supposed to be reduced to 35 by tonight's meeting. That hasn't been done. I would think that you would do what we would ask you to do, and then come back and say have Bob look at it and say, Bob, I think I can get another 5 vehicles in-house if you allow me, if I can go before the board and get, up to 40. I know you wanted more, but up to 40, 45, by showing what you can do and what it looks like when you're at 35. You haven't done that. It's like pulling teeth for you to do what we're asking you to do. And what the building inspector, the building commissioner is asking you to do. And this board is demanding that you do, and you're not doing it.
On the other hand, the building inspector, Bob, has been working with him, and while he's working with them, Bob has come up with a recommendation to limit the number of vehicles to 40, to give him until March 1st to handle that and to submit a different site plan. So it's the recommendation of the building commissioner, who has been working with him on this, to do it that way. So what I would entertain is, and then we can do it, vote with it or amend it or whatever we want, is entertain a motion to accept Bob's recommendation to limit the vehicles to 40, affected by March 1st. In other words, it would be 40 by March 1st.
Correct.
With a site plan accompanying that, and with Bob's by March 1st, Bob's overlooking the site and saying that he's satisfied with what it looks like.
Correct.
Okay. Now, our first meeting in March, would take this up at our first meeting in March, but March 1st would be the deadline by which that stuff has to be done. Does someone like to make that motion?
You make it, I won't.
What?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, discussion on the motion.
Okay, March 1st comes, we're in the same boat we are tonight. What do? What's the consequence? Is he gonna lose his license until he adheres to what we're telling him to do? Or are we just gonna say, okay, March 15th, March 25th?
I think Mr.
April.
Federico ought to understand that March 1st is the deadline.
How about we amend the motion to say that if he doesn't come into compliance by March 1st, we're going to take his license away?
Until he meets the recommendation of building commissioner and this board.
Bob, you think that March 1st is the right amount of time to allow Mr. Federico to do this?
Yeah, the issue again is there's a lot of big trucks there,
Yeah.
some larger trucks, and it's difficult to maneuver anything. But my feeling is he get rid of 10 vehicles right away. If he has to fix them up quick and sell them, that's what he has to do. But I think that's ample time. It's
Okay.
3 weeks.
Are you satisfied that March 1st is like a dead zone deadline? That if he hasn't been able to,
Yeah, I haven't seen.
or are you thinking
I think
that
that's
maybe-
it. I think that tonight, if I didn't come here and make a recommendation that you give him till the
Yeah.
1st of March, that maybe this license would have been suspended.
Tonight, okay.
And so I did have a discussion with Mr. Federico this afternoon, and I had said that I have already submitted a letter to the Board of Selectmen, and as far as I'm concerned, it's just impossible to maneuver in there. I had to back up 3 or 4, I had to do a 6-point turn just to get out of there today. So this isn't a conventional car lot where people come in and visit with their daughters who are gonna buy their first car. This is older vehicles that have engines in them that are diesel motors that are worth $5,000. And so that's part of what his business is. It's just a little bit different than what we're used to.
So are we selling the motors, or are we selling the cars?
He'll sell the car
Are
and
we selling salvage here, or are we selling?
no, it's what's looked like a salvage truck, but he's buying it and it's got value because it may have a $5,000 or $10,000 motor in it, but it's still marketable. It's just not pretty stuff. He's not out there waxing it and putting.
It doesn't have to
this
pass
would-
inspection?
No, it does.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, he's got some old Snap-on trucks out there, and he's got another vehicle that's a ramp truck with a pickup on the back of it or whatever. And I think that's the kind of fine tuning that we need. And I think his plan was this weekend to do a lot of cleanup over there, and then we had all the snow. So right now, you gotta shovel things off just to move them.
Okay.
So it is difficult, and if we get a lot more snow, I think we'll all know that there's a reason why it didn't get done by March 1st, but I think just based on normal weather, he should be fine. And I think this has gone on long enough. I think March 1st is it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd have to say that I agree with Mr. Savucci's angst about this. Are we treating him differently than we would any other car lot? Granted, his business might be a little bit different than those other car lots, but I believe we need to treat everybody the same in this category. That being said, I agree with you in your assessment that if you did not come here tonight and suggest this, that probably would have happened. But I would defer to you because you are our guy when it comes to this stuff, so I'm satisfied that your recommendation is what we should do, but I clearly am sitting on the edge of my seat, much like Mr. Salvucci is. At some point, we have to decide.
Can anyone recall the last time we pulled the license?
I cannot.
Because you're talking about treating everybody
Yeah,
fairly.
Yeah, yeah.
If,
But have we had,
when was the last time that we,
I mean, with a little research, I'm
Getty.
sure we could find something that,
South Ave Motors.
where we did something. You know, I'm just, you know, I don't want the public to get the impression that we're going the extra mile.
no, what we're doing is,
But-
from my point of view, what we're doing is we're following the recommendation of the
Right.
building commission.
And that's exactly the only reason probably that didn't happen tonight, I think. Can't speak for the rest of them, but, you know, to me, that's exactly why.
It's all on you.
I can handle it.
Anybody else have something that they need to say? Okay, all those in favor of Bob Curran's, of the motion, which is basically to follow the recommendation of the building commissioner? All those opposed?
Bob, first time I'm going against your recommendation. I just want this gentleman to understand how
I
important.
think it's pretty clear how you feel, Dan.
Thank you.
Can I say something at all, by any chance?
Sure.
I was gonna say, I brought a plan in, we spent about 8 hours on this plan to show everybody.
Why don't we have copies made of it, and then we can be looking at it between now and March
I spent 8 hours
1st?
on this plan. What I'd like to do is to let everybody know the actual size of the lot here. We're talking about a lot that's 20,250 square. What I did in that particular picture there was I allowed 18 feet by 9 feet per vehicle. So with each vehicle being about 6 feet wide usually, we've got about 3 feet distance in between each vehicle to be able to open up doors. So if anybody's got a calculator real quick, if anybody could punch in 20,250 square divided by 162 square feet, which is about the size of a vehicle, it roughly comes out to somewhere well over 100 vehicles that could be parked there. This lot is well over a half acre. I've drawn this plan here to scale.
Have you seen this, Bob? The plan?
Is this the same plan you showed me last week?
Yeah.
Planning board.
My feeling is the proof is in just taking a look at the lot, it's too crowded. And if we limit it down to 40 and he wants to add more and I feel like there's appropriate room, then we can amend the number. But for now, he's only got to get rid of 10 vehicles. It'll make all the difference in the world. If you have a customer or two customers pull into this lot, you can't you can't be the third one in and get out of there without backing out onto Route 18. So no
That's a
matter what
safety
he
issue.
does, there's no way that I feel you can maneuver on that lot sufficient to turn around just to leave.
Well, anyway, like I was saying is, so if anybody's got a calculator, 20,000 square feet, 20,250 square feet, which is what the size of that lot is, minus 162 square feet for the size of your average vehicle was about 120 vehicles that can be fit on that lot. My
Are
proposition.
you trying to argue to put more vehicles on the lot?
No, I'm not trying to argue to put more vehicles on the lot. What I'd like to do is keep it right at 52 vehicles and have 70 vehicles for turnaround area. There's plenty of room to turn around in that. Bob came down this morning, I wasn't there, it wasn't plowed out. I had to make phone calls to get a Bobcat over there, I moved plenty of vehicles. I could land a 747 in that lot and turn it around and come back out again. There's,
I have a gamble.
you know, what's happening to me is I'm kind of right in the middle. My landlord, I don't own the property. I am just using the license. The owner of the property lives in Florida. When this first started, he said to me, David, please get an attorney. David, please get an attorney. And my response to him was, look it, These guys seem like nice guys. I don't think we need an attorney. I think I can go in and we can just move some cars around here and get everything squared away. And he's saying, get an attorney, get an attorney. He's ready to litigate against, I don't know if he wants to litigate against me. All I'm hearing is his number of 52 cars. He's the owner of the property. Now, it's not my number of 52 cars. He's the owner of the property. It's his number of 52 cars. And all he's been telling me is, get an attorney, get an attorney, get an attorney. And been saying, no, look, these guys seem like nice guys. I think we can just move some cars around here and work this out like a bunch of gentlemen. Mr. Salvucci, I mean, honestly, I've been there for the last 5 weeks moving cars around right and left. By the
You
time
move them
put
around, you're not moving them out.
By the time, you wanted me to move the cars around, I can't move them out and sell them. I want to move them around so I can keep Bob happy. I'd like to remind everybody also is, I did have 65 vehicles on the lot. All the licenses that I brought in prior to had no stipulations on them. So I understand I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna look like a bad guy. I had 65 cars. I didn't realize I had a stipulation of 52 vehicles at the time until this year had rolled around. Now I got rid of 15 vehicles at a storage yard. I've got 50 cars on the lot. I'm pressed in the middle. I've got a lease with the owner of the property in Florida. I've been there for every single day, moving cars around, starting a car. You gotta put a starter in it, you gotta get a battery. Unfortunately, they're not new cars, and I'm not able to call up the dealer and send the vehicle to the dealership to put a starter in. I'm the guy underneath the vehicle actually doing the work. There's not a lot of money in the business. We're working on a extremely tight margin here as profit goes. 30 or 40 car license, if you could sell 10% of your inventory in a month, you're talking about 3 or 4 cars, you're losing money. I'm gonna be in a tough position with a low number of vehicles to absolutely make no money. My owner down in Florida is gonna, who knows what he's gonna do, and I'm gonna be walking into a litigation issue to start off in 2016. I've been there for the last 5 weeks. I'm moving cars around right and left. There's been a couple of snowstorms. What I'd like to do is just get back to business, sell some vehicles, move the inventory downwards a little bit, and do I feel as if I'm being treated fairly? Well, I'm not from the area. I'm not a Whitman. I'm not from Whitman. I'm from Needham. Maybe I do feel as if I'm not being as treated fairly as another car dealer in the area. We've got 20,250. You could park 120 cars there if you had them. Let's allow 70 spots for turnaround. That's still a 52 car license. My landlord can't make the sense of me telling him that they've decided to lower the number because of a flat tire. They decided to lower the number because a window's broken, that some kid broke a window to steal a stereo. They decided to lower the number of the vehicles because we've got trees all over in the back property dropping sap on them, and they don't look as if they're ready for a Barrett Jackson auction. All I wanted, I'm in the middle. I'm using his license. I don't own the property. Obviously, when I'm gone, the license will remain in his name. I can't bring it anywhere else.
License in your name.
Yeah, the license in my name, but it will remain at the address of the business property, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Greg.
The license is in his name, it's not in the owner's name.
Yeah, the license is in my name, but when I do
It's the same
leave,
And
I,
it's 452, it was 452
It was
vehicles?
52 since the inception of the license, I believe, Laura? And
I can't
even
go
though
down-
it wasn't stated on the license, he's the same owner for the last number of years, so it didn't go up and didn't go down, it was always 52.
I can't go down to the next town of Abington with the license. I can't go to Hanson with the license. The license will remain at the property, and all I'm hearing from my owner of my property is, it's my 52 cars. It's my 52 cars. Now he thinks I'm causing him harm. I'm just in the middle. I've never come in here and never told you guys that I'll
he
move
doesn't-
any cars around you want. I will correct any issue
But he
you
doesn't
want.
have the license.
Oh, I understand,
You do.
but, I understand, but
The license
it's,
doesn't stay with the property.
it doesn't,
There's a new license that comes in, he has to apply for a new license.
There
he has
might
to
be a
get
new
site plan,
license.
So it's not his license. There's no control over
But
that
the
52
license
cars.
is designated per, you know, the address of the property.
No.
Or if, when I leave, if he's gonna reapply and
If
get the
you
license
leave, the
back.
license is gone. Someone who comes in and wants to
Well,
apply for a license,
yeah.
they go through the same process.
So it
you
goes
did
through the
originally.
same process, and that's
So it's
great,
not
but
52, or it could be
it
35,
could be
it could be
52,
25.
it could be 35.
It could be 25.
Yeah, it could be whatever, but I'm
So
just
it
saying,
doesn't go with you,
he'll
it just
probably,
It is
yeah,
40.
I understand
Already
it's not
voted.
going with me, and
What?
that's
We've
fine.
already voted on this, it is 40.
And
We
I
have
have
voted, it's
questions-
40, right
questions
now
for
it's
you.
40, and there's gotta be 40 there on March 1st.
I mean,
And
it's not
he's-
as if I'm coming in here telling you guys, I don't wanna do anything. I don't wanna work with Mr. Curran. I'm willing to correct any problem that we have.
Okay, I have some questions. This plan, all of these vehicles that you've mapped out, are these passenger cars?
Some
Are
are
these, are your trucks that you're selling included in this?
trucks and passenger cars,
Okay,
there's a mixture
so
of both.
you've taken into consideration the size of a Nissan and the size of a diesel truck. So that's all in consideration here.
Right.
When you're measuring all these out.
Yeah.
So you're including 52 passenger-type cars, which would include a two-door sedan, four-door,
Any type of vehicle,
maybe an
really.
SUV. But then you have diesel trucks. There's quite a size difference between a diesel truck and a passenger car.
I understand.
So are you saying you can have 52 passenger cars on top of the diesel trucks that you're selling?
You could have
Are you-
52 crew cab, 8-foot bed vehicles there, and still have plenty of room to come right in and turn around. We were
So I
talking
guess
about
I'm
a 20,000,
confused with
we're talking about a
What type of
half acre.
vehicles you're gonna have?
Let me see.
Bob, is it passenger type of cars, or are we including the trucks?
No,
Diesel trucks?
There's actually a ramp truck in there that's 30-something feet long.
Okay, so you're saying that you're taking into consideration a vehicle that's 30 feet long in a consideration of a vehicle that might be 16 feet long. There's a difference between that. That's two vehicles and then one. So you're saying that you can fit 52 cars in there, including a 30-foot long truck. How many
52
how many trucks do you have in there, and how large are these trucks?
You could fit 52 of the longest trucks you could buy in there and still have plenty of room to come right in and turn around without a problem. That's why I called Bob
I'm
today.
hearing one thing from you and I'm hearing another thing from Bob.
I wanted Bob to
What
come.
do I do with that?
I understand. I wanted Bob to come down today. I got there late because of the snow. I had to call for a Bobcat. I wanted to come down and have him take another look. There's plenty of room to turn around in that lot. Like I said, it's 20,250 square feet. Even if a vehicle is a crew cab 4-door with an 8-foot bed and the next vehicle next to it is a 18-foot 4-door sedan, we're still talking about taking 20,250 square feet divided by roughly 200 square feet per vehicle, and you're talking
Bob,
about
you wanna
fitting
chime
well
in
over
on
100 cars.
whatever he's selling?
You know?
My feeling is that this board should stick with their vote. If there is an issue where he eliminates some of the vehicles and shows a layout that will be sufficient to handle the number of vehicles, I'll be glad to come back to this board and make a recommendation in writing. But I think for now, we probably should end this.
Okay, the board has heard what you had to say, but my sense of the board is that they're satisfied with the recommendation to follow Bob's recommendation. So it's 40 cars by March 1st.
With that plan.
Okay, there's no other old business. Around the board, Greg, do you have anything you want to say?
Not today.
No? Scott?
Nope.
Lisa?
I don't know, were you planning on just noting this letter?
Is that about Ritter?
The Ritter?
Yeah, if I could
Okay.
use your thing
Yeah,
to do that.
absolutely.
Yes. Wait till it's my turn.
Oh,
for on the
okay,
board.
all right. Thought you were gonna have a big deal about it.
Do you have anything
No.
to add besides vitriol and,
Yep.
okay?
I would just like to thank Public Service, Police, Fire, and the DPW for their work throughout our snow events. It's been, they've done a great job, and I'm proud to say that Whitman has some of the finest public service in the area. do a job that a lot of people might complain about on social media now and then because they're getting woke up by a plow at 2 in the morning, but
I don't mind hearing that plow at 2 in the morning.
That's right.
I know
And,
things are getting cleaned up.
and I think that sometimes social media can get out of hand, but I can say with great pleasure that our public service does a fantastic job, and I'm proud to say it from Whitman.
Okay, thank you. I got a couple of things. The first is, right before the meeting, I received an email that we all received from Bob Rogers, the athletic director at Whitman Hanson, and I'd like to read it publicly. It's, "To whom it may concern, from Bob Rogers. I am writing this letter to bring attention to the incredible generosity at Ritter Country Club. When we lost our golf team due to budget cuts, John Ritter and his daughter Janelle Rotundi stepped to the plate and offered Whitman Hanson Regional High School the use of their facility at no charge. More than 10 years later, they continue to let our team practice and compete there at absolutely no cost. The value of their donation over this time is hard to quantify because so many rounds of golf have been played, but suffice it to say it's in the tens of thousands of dollars. The reality for us is that if the Ritter family didn't step to the plate, we would not be able to offer golf to our students and there would be no team. Their generosity doesn't end there. They have afforded our school discounts on room rentals for dances, proms, and other activities. When we run various fundraisers in different sports, they're always there to step to the plate with donations of gift certificates or other items. In short, our community is fortunate to have business people like the Ritter family who remain committed to being part of what makes the Whitman Hanson such a great place to live. Sincerely, Bob Rogers, athletic director." So I just wanted to acknowledge the Ritter family publicly based upon Bob's letter. Bob, by the way, is really heavily involved in what Chief Benton had brought up as far as the opioid and heroin crisis. He's a really valuable member of the coalition. He's got things going at the high school that without him wouldn't be happening the way they are. He's a tremendous addition to the high school and to our community as a whole. Also, I had a pleasure, I think it was last week, of going to a meeting at Weymouth High School, at Weymouth Town Hall, to accept a designation from the state that Whitman is a green community. We had applied to become a green community, and there were five criteria, Greg? There were 5 criteria that we had to handle in order to become one. I think there are less than half of way less than half of the communities in Massachusetts have been designated green communities, 118 out of 351. We're one of those. And at the meeting at the Weymouth Town Hall, there was Norwell, Cohasset, Whitman, Stoughton, and Weymouth were the 5 that received the designations recently. We're given a plaque that reads, "Be it hereby known to all that this is from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, that the town of Whitman, having met the criteria established pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 25A, Section 10, has been officially designated as a green community." And it's signed by Governor Baker, by the Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs, Matthew Beaton, by Karen Polito, the Lieutenant Governor, and also by Judith Judson, who's the Commissioner of the Department of Energy Resources. And so we have this plaque to put up here, but we also, and this is really neat, we have these signs. We have 4 of these signs that we'll place around town designating that we're a green community. So we'll put, I think Greg was telling me, one on Washington Street.
One on Washington Street, one on Temple, somewhere coming from Hanson, and the roundabout.
Okay. So, it's nice. It's not just a designation of being a green community. It involves a lot of work, primarily on the part of Greg, to get this put through. I was approached by a couple of people that worked for the state who said that without Greg's work on this, we probably wouldn't have received it. It also meant $167,000 coming to the town. It isn't just giving us 4 signs to put up. It's $167,000 to come to the town to help us enhance even further our status as a green community. So I think kudos have to go to Greg for this, and it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun for me, personally, to go to the Weymouth Town Hall to accept this award. Greg was there and Frank also, because I grew up in Weymouth, but I had never been in the town hall itself, which is a replica of the City Hall in Boston, the original City Hall in Boston. It was just kind of fun for me to be there, and I'd appreciated the opportunity, and I wanted to mention it tonight. That being said, we need an executive session tonight in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, and 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the position, our bargaining or litigating position.
Second. Yes.
Yes, yes.
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 And we'll return in open session only to adjourn.